All right, good morning, everybody. Brad Whitehouse here with the one and only Chris Royer. Welcome to the very first ever episode of, I think we're going to call this RE/MAX Pros for Real. We'll work on that name. We'll see how people respond to it a little bit. But the whole idea, Chris, first of all, thanks for being here, man.
Of course.
Sure appreciate it. Let me say this first, and I mean this with all my heart. The reason why you are the very first guest of this show is because of the fact that when I very first thought of the idea of doing this, you happen to be standing next to me. And that's all. That's the only, it was pure convenience. That's the only reason.
All right.
Yeah, now I'd like to say emotionally, like there's something that just drove me to think I want Chris here. You were just standing next to me at the time.
Perfect.
So thanks for being in.
I appreciate
thanks
that.
for being there, and thanks for being here.
That doesn't hurt my heart at all.
Well, whether it does or doesn't matter. So, I mean, obviously, the name RE/MAX Pros for Real. Here's the idea of what I want to accomplish. I really want to get to the true nature of who you are, not just about the real estate market or about your business, but really who you are as a person, how your family rolls into your business. I know, like me, you wear your faith on your sleeve, and it's a priority for you. So I want to talk a little bit about that, how you manage balancing that in your business too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that really we want to get an idea of who you are. And how your family and your faith cause your business to be as successful as it's been.
Yeah.
So first of all, tell us briefly who you are, when you joined RE/MAX Pros, and give us just a 1 minute intro on who you are.
So I'm Chris Royer. I'm one of the co-team leads of the Mile High Home Group. That group's been around for a little under a year now. Been with RE/MAX Pros since 2017.
Yep.
Was with RE/MAX Southeast prior to that, and been in the business since 2013.
Yeah.
Love Pros, love RE/MAX,
Thanks,
and
man.
yeah, it was a really good move back in the day. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We were kind of forced to make the move with what happened with that office.
A little bit of an implosion
But
that
it was-
caused the move.
It was the best thing that could have ever happened.
Yeah.
They just weren't providing anything that you guys were providing. It was.
Well, thanks.
We just didn't know what was available until we knew what was available.
You and Griffiths came over. I think Cliff Hancock came over
Right around the same time.
Right around the
Yeah.
same time from
Yeah.
Southeast as well.
Right
So that
as
was
that ship was sinking. Yeah.
that was a good catch for us.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question for you, and again, in the heart of keeping it real, I'm gonna ask you a question, but I'm gonna take away one potential answer. So you can't use this answer.
Okay.
Here's the answer, because my wife loves it.
Okay.
So the question is, what's the deal with the hair?
Oh man, that was my answer.
I know. I'm well aware of what the answer. I'm just kidding.
No,
you don't have
honestly,
to answer the question.
I hate getting haircuts. So
Me
my
too.
wife is a hairstylist.
Me too. So you know.
And she cuts my hair. But I can't sit still for that long. She'll cut my hair in 20 minutes and I still don't like it.
Well,
So that's really the main reason.
I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of envy
yeah.
going on. You look good, man. You look really, really
So I
good.
got the hat on. It's coming back a little bit right here.
I was having breakfast one morning and Tommy, my son, was sitting across from me, and he looked up and saw my head and he goes, "Dad, there's an M on your head." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Look, there's an M on your head." And I'm like, "Buddy, it's called a receding hairline. Let's not keep bringing it up, okay?"
Yeah. I'm just trying to hide it. And then
Smart.
I'm,
Smart.
yeah.
All right, so here's my first real question for you. Tell me about, obviously you've built a really successful business, and now you're stepping into the team side of the business. Knowing what you know now about the business, especially from a perspective of, I really understand now I've got kids, and life's a little bit different today than it was when you first started in the business. So knowing what you know now, what would you do if you could go back to day one, the day that you decided to get in the business? What would you do differently to build the business that you would like to have starting from day one? I think it's really cool for people to, especially people starting out in the business,
Yeah.
I think it's cool for them to be able to look at someone that's built what you've built and have the ability to say, "Man, that's great advice. I'd like to get to where he's at someday." So how do you build that?
Absolutely find a good mentor. I think that's the number one thing. If that means joining a team,
Yeah.
that's usually how that looks in this business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 100% what I would have done. I didn't join a team. I thought I'm a very solo-minded entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this my way. And I really wish I would have joined a team so I could learn from somebody who has mastered this business. I think it would have definitely... I mean, my business started pretty well. I had 17 deals my first year, so that wasn't bad.
Pretty solid.
But I feel like my trajectory would have been even better if I had a mentor kind of showing me how to do that. My 17 deals my first year was just because people knew me and trusted me because I'm a native.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I know a lot of people in this area, and
Yep.
they found out I got in the business and they wanted to use me.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could have expanded that a little bit better if I had somebody showing me different avenues. Like right now, even still to this day, my whole business is based on my sphere.
Yeah.
And I've never had somebody who's really mentored me on doing a farm or having these other buckets of income.
Right.
I've heard of them. I've gone to classes about them. But I think it'd be really valuable to have a mentor that you're watching day in and day out,
Yep.
showing you how to run a business with those different buckets.
Okay, so on the topic of mentors, because as a company, we've talked a lot about mentor programs and trying to create sort of a inorganic way to create mentorship, right? And when I say inorganic, what I mean is us assigning you a mentor. And we don't, to be frank, we don't believe in that, because I think a mentor has to be something that's that relationship is something that has to be developed organically, right? Something that you have to meet someone and connect with someone or hear someone speak at a class that you're like, I get that person. I understand where they're coming from. I emulate that person. And so I'd like for that person to be my mentor.
Yeah.
As opposed to me saying, welcome to RE/MAX Pros. This is your mentor, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, if you could picture Chris of whatever 15 years ago, who would that mentor have been? I mean, what are the philosophies that mentor would have carried that would have caused you to say, that's the guy or gal?
Definitely somebody. So something that's always been really important to me is having the work-life balance. So somebody who was extremely successful, but also had that work-life balance.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of agents who make $1 million a year, but they don't have a life. They're in the office 80 hours a week. I've never wanted that lifestyle. I've always wanted to make a good living, but also have a good life. And so it would have to be somebody who had the balance of both of those. I wouldn't do well with a mentor that said you need to work 80 hours a week to be successful. Because I don't think you do. So I don't know who that person would be. I haven't met that person. I've never had that mentor. Because of how successful I was my first year in the business, I've never really been given that. So you said there's been times when mentors and mentees are kind of paired up with each other. And whenever I've gone to something like that, they've always kind of designated me as a mentor. So I've never had the chance to be the mentee when they've done those pairings. Like Smedra has done a mentor program, but I didn't really qualify to be a mentee. I even asked them about it. They're like, no, you have to mentor a new agent. I've done plenty of that, and I've enjoyed that. I love coaching. I love mentoring. But
well, that's good, because without you knowing, I'm setting you up to be a mentor, just so you know. I'm just like pushing you into a corner of saying that, here you go, you're about to be a mentor. I don't know who yet, but it's going to happen. Mentor. All right. So, well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think that's makes sense, because I think that, especially for you, the number one priority for you is your faith and your family, right? I mean, that's kind of who you are and what you want to prioritize. And I'm speaking for you a little bit, but I think you would say that everything that you try to build in your real estate business is to support that, right?
100%.
To allow that to be your priority. Right? And which is what I love about this business, because this business allows us to build whatever it is that we want to build, right? That's why as we get towards the end of the year, we focus so much on business planning. It's not because we're handing you the plan, it's because we're kind of encouraging you to build your own plan. Like decide what it is that you want to build. So with that in mind, tell me about, first of all, let me say this. I love the video that you just did.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, and I'm going to ask Jesse to link your video in whatever the bio is. That work? Jesse just gave me a thumbs up. So we'll link your video in the bio so people can see it. It is fantastic. And the thing that I love about it, I mean, you definitely, there's an element of it that shows you active in the business and out showing properties and meeting with clients. Yeah. But it's like this much. And the vast majority of it is your family, right? It's Kendra and your boys. And it's just so cool because I think it gives people a very human look at who you really are. And frankly, I do think that it's important that we demonstrate that, look, we're experts in the business, right? We know our stuff. We sell more real estate than anybody else, and that's important. But the truth is, they want to hire you for you, right? They want to trust you, and in order to trust you, they need to know more than that you're just a robot that knows a bunch about this business. So I love that video. So that being the case, tell me, I mean, how do you balance it? Because you do a fantastic job. Tell me a little about Kendra and the boys and how you've been able to prioritize your family and your faith over a business that can very easily chew you up and spit you out.
Totally. So just make it a priority. So, I mean, just the other day, I had some clients texting me at 8 o'clock at night, and I did not respond right away because I knew we didn't have any deadlines that day. Nothing was urgent. So I turned my phone off. I put it away. And I focused on the kids and Kendra because they deserve that attention. And my oldest just turned 10, and it's like those 10 years just flashed. Like it was so fast. So I need to make it. I do make it a priority to put my phone down, shut it off, and then just focus on them. Because when that phone is at your side, you can be looking at it and pretending you're paying attention to the kids, but you're not.
Yeah.
And I've just always made that a priority. One of the old teams I was on, I was a team lead of another team, and one of the other team leaders, it drove him nuts that I was always on vacation. I wasn't always on vacation. We went on like 4 or 5 vacations a year, but for him, it seemed like I was always on vacation, and it drove him nuts that I sold more real estate than he did, and I went on vacation more. And I
can't wait to have him on this podcast and have him respond to that.
I don't even think he's in the business anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, we've always made traveling and family time a priority, and people see that. They don't want an agent who's in the office 60, 80 hours a week, who has no personality, he hasn't built a relationship with them. So a big part of my business is building that relationship with my clients, with my family. So we do like 10 to 12 events every year, and they're all family-friendly events, so the family all comes out. Our big one is our cornhole tournament.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We usually have about 100 people come out to that. There's about 30 kids running around in our forest, and then 50 people playing in a big cornhole tournament.
You had a bounce house, I remember, for the kids.
Bounce house.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we've done a clown, we've done a magician, we show the kids a good time because that's what's important to the adults. If their kids are having a good time, well, they're having a good time. We do a food truck. I've got my margarita machine going in the garage.
Very important.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really awesome. A great way to build relationships. Like one of the things you talked about is building the life that shows people that you're in the business. And so my life is about hanging out with my favorite people who are also the people I'm doing business with.
Yeah.
So those relationships are what's really important to me.
Yeah. And I'd imagine, again, not to keep dipping back into the business element of it, but if I'm listening to this podcast and I'm just getting my business going or I'm in a down year, I listen to that and I go, well, that's easy for you to say. You've got a bunch of business going on, right? But one of the things that you've done really well is created systems and tools to communicate effectively and consistently with people, so that you know that underlying level of communication is happening, and then you can go out and just be you and connect with people personally, and now you've got those automated touches happening, and you've got that relationship part, which is just kind of natural to you anyway, which allows you the freedom to do things like turn off your phone.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot harder to turn off your phone when you're waiting for that one and only deal than it is when you've got 4 or 5 in the pipeline.
It's a good feeling to have that much business where you're not desperate for that phone call.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So what if you could give someone just 2 or 3 pieces of advice? I mean, 1 or 2 things maybe even, of things that you would go back and do to make sure that you have that consistent level of communication. What are the tangible, I can go plug in things that you do right now to make sure that you're creating that consistency in the touch in order to create that consistency in the pipeline?
Totally. So the Buffini model is what's really done it for me. That's what got me 17 deals my first year, was just following what he said. And when I took Peak Producers, and it's just calls, notes, pop buys, and then later added the events and made that a big part of our business. And now the events part is really what ties the calls, notes, and pop buys together. So you do the event, you plan the event, you make a call, you send them an invitation. After they come to the event, you write them a handwritten note telling them thank you for coming to the event. Actually, my cornhole tournament a couple of years ago, last summer, we had one of my good clients and friends brought his neighbor. And his neighbor just moved here from California. Yeah. And I wrote him, I barely talked to him at the party, but I got his information and I wrote him a handwritten note after. 3 weeks after that party, I got a phone call. He said, hey, we're selling our rental property in California and we want to do a 1031 and buy some properties in Colorado. Within that first year of meeting him, they bought 5 properties with me.
That works.
All from a handwritten note and a cornhole party.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
So I guess for a newer agent, when you don't have the money to throw like a cornhole party, because that's an expensive party, but I have sponsors who help me.
Yeah.
I don't pay very much for that party. My sponsors pay for the food truck. They pay for the booze. They pay for the bounce house. So you can do it with very little money with some good partners. Yeah. But for a newer agent, just plug into what you guys are offering. I mean, everything from the Harvest Carnival to the Rockies, like all of that is very reasonable for a brand new agent. Yeah, concert in the park. I was very hesitant to do concert in the park at first because I was like, it's in Littleton. Most of my people are in Aurora, but they'll make that drive. Oh, yeah. Like, it's not that bad. Yeah. And that's literally an event you show up to, you set up your tent, and you're ready to go. Yeah. Like, you guys do everything. Yeah.
Amber and Carly and Teresa and the team make it pretty easy.
Yeah. You don't do anything.
Hey, I wasn't looking for you to say that. Even though it's true. Okay, so I want to stick to the 20-minute mark. It looks like we're coming up on it here pretty quick. Very, very important. You and Kendra have a big announcement to make. Is it? I mean, if it isn't public, it is now.
It is public. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So I just turned 40 last year, and my oldest son just turned 10, and his birthday is actually a week after mine. And I was watching I made a little slideshow of him, and I was like, man, that 10 years went so fast. Like, and I got a little choked up, so I was like, let's do this again.
Kendra, I have an idea.
So I came to Kendra with it, and she said, no way. You're on track. There's no possible way. And she thought about it and prayed about it for a couple months, and then came to me one day and said, okay, let's do it. She's like, I have some conditions, obviously. She wanted a house cleaner, and she wanted somebody to manage our properties in Florida for us, because right now that's what she does. Yep. And so I said, okay, done. Let's do it.
And nothing selling a couple more houses a year can't cover.
Yeah.
So in October.
In October 29th is due date for baby girl.
Baby girl. Lady A? Is that the given name to this point?
That's her name.
So I promise, if you tell me what the name actually is, I won't tell anybody. We'll keep it just between us. Come on. No chance.
Kendra would murder me.
That's okay. That's all right. It'd be worth it.
No, actually, I'm more the surprise person. I didn't want to find out the gender.
Really?
None of that. I wanted the total surprise. And she's like, no, we have to fit in. It's a good thing because we're getting a girl and she's been nesting and now everything's pink. And so she's enjoying that.
Well, congratulations. October, what's due date?
October 29th. But we're
Halloween
thinking she's going to come early because we don't want a Halloween baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man, thanks for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I love this. I love learning more about you and your life and your business. Most importantly, how you've allowed your business to support the priorities that you have in your life. I've always been really, really impressed with that. So
thanks, Brett.
Thanks for being here and sharing.
Of course.
All right, buddy.
You.